Good morning, good afternoon, good day, good evening. My name is Kim Schofield, and this is Inspiration Tuesdays. Thank you so much for joining us. Inspiration Tuesdays is a program that focuses on the importance of inspiration, personal and economic growth, surviving and thriving. Inspiration Tuesdays features guests from around the world that are an inspiration to their industries, colleagues, and communities. Today, we are going to discuss inspiration and its role in the evolution and growth of the new space economy with our very special guest, Colonel Shelli Brunswick, U.S. Air Force retired and Chief Operating Officer, Space Foundation. Shelli, welcome to Inspiration Tuesdays.
Well, thank you, Kim. It's an honor to be joining you today. And again, I'd like to thank your sponsors and distributors for making this program possible. During COVID and any time, inspiration is something that uplifts us all and allows us to make the world a better place. And that's how I feel about the space economy as well.
Thank you. Well, you have such an impressive and accomplished career. You have numerous awards. You've been recognized globally for your achievements, especially in promoting the space industry. What would you most like our viewers to know about you?
Well, thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. What I'd like to share is for your audience out there who's looking for what does it mean to be in the space industry or how did I get to where I am? One of the big things I share is that my journey had 3 chapters. And so I did not start out in high school saying, I'm going to be in the space industry because space was very different in the 1980s. So my first chapter after graduating high school was I enlisted in the U.S. Air Force, and I was a personnel specialist stationed in Germany and Turkey, and then here in Colorado Springs at the Air Force Academy, and I now live in Colorado Springs. And during that time, I went to school at night and served my country during the day. And then when I had my degree, I applied and became an officer in the U.S. Air Force, and I became a space acquisition officer. So that is when I really started my journey and career in the aerospace and defense and space sector. So it wasn't something I knew right away out of high school. And then I served my country. I did space acquisition for many years, culminating my career working on Capitol Hill as a liaison to members of the Congress and Senate to talk about the Air Force program and budget. And then when I retired from the Air Force, I started the 3rd chapter of my career, which is what I'm doing now as the Chief Operating Officer at Space Foundation. So what I really want to share with your audience is that all of our journeys have multiple chapters. And sometimes we think we know where we want to go, but new opportunities open up. And that's exactly what has happened in the space sector. As I shared, when I joined the Air Force in the 80s, so I'll let people do the math, the space sector was really something you had to work for NASA or the military or a large defense contractor that was contracted by the US government or other country governments. And that's how it works. So it really wasn't an opportunity I thought about. You had to be a rocket scientist or an astronaut. But Kim, as you know, because we've met at many space events, over the last 40 years, space has become commercialized and democratized. And now it's open to everybody to join the space sector. And so that's what's wonderful about the space industry today is we have multiple opportunities for everyone in every country to potentially find a place in this space ecosystem. So that's one of the things I'd really like to share with your audience is that space is not that outer space thing. It's actually a thing right here on Earth.
Yeah, and it's great that you don't have to be a rocket scientist anymore to be a part of the new space economy. Everybody's a part of the new space economy. But I'd like to start at the very beginning of your journey, and I mean the beginning of your journey. Tell me, when you were a child, was there an event, a program, an occurrence that specifically inspired you? I mean, what did you want to be when you grew up?
That's a great question. I'm similar to probably many children growing up. At one time I wanted to be a veterinarian and a firefighter and a marine biologist. But ultimately, I was an only child, and you met my mother, so you know that. And I was very independent. And I really liked to participate in multiple activities growing up, from sports to theater, to socializing, events and groups. And so that trait has continued throughout my career. You'll see from my bio on LinkedIn that I'm involved in a lot of organizations. So that has not changed over the last 40 years either. So there wasn't exactly an event, but what did draw me into the Air Force was I wasn't ready for college right out of high school. You know, I had a lot of interests. I wasn't sure what I wanted to focus on and major in. And so that made it an easy step to join the Air Force as an enlisted service member and learn more about myself, which we would call emotional intelligence, you know, and understanding ourselves, and also allowed me to earn some money with the GI Bill so that I could go to college and not have a huge debt load. But as I went through the Air Force, and as you can tell, I failed at separating after 4 years. I mean, I stayed almost 30. I realized that what the Air Force offered was similar to my core values. You know, the Air Force is about integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do. And I'm going to key on that integrity first. You know what integrity really is? It's about building trust with people. And when you have trust, you can build relationships. And relationships are what drive the world. And so again, I go back to what I share with you when I was in high school. I was involved in a lot of organizations because I enjoyed building relationships, maintaining relationships, and that ties in with my core values. And I think, you know, we met 15 months ago at an event in Dubai, and we're still connected. So I like to say that was one of the things that drove me into the Air Force, was that I wasn't ready. And for your audience, for young men and women who are listening, it's okay if you're not ready for college. You can do other things. You can explore, learn more about yourself. The more you know about yourself, the more successful you'll be in your career. Explore different things. And then as I went through my career in the Air Force, which is ironic, I started to go to school at night and get my college degree. I then did complete my master's and bachelor's degree. So I did finish college, but I had a different path than many others might out of high school. And what I want to share with your audience is that's okay.
You know, I think that's really great. And that actually brings up an interesting point. You know, as you said earlier, if you wanted to be in space, you had to be a rocket scientist, you had to be an engineer, you had to go to that 4-year school, and you had to be pretty much a guy. Now, the new space economy will allow anyone with varying degrees of education to participate. Tell us, what do you think the opportunities are for vocational students in new space economy?
Well, that's an excellent question. It's one I like to talk about. You know, recently, last May, we launched our Space Foundation Center of Innovation and Education. And that's really about sharing how the space economy is about workforce development, developing your workforce for economic opportunity, that is tied together in that future space ecosystem. And that the great part is we need individuals who have high school diplomas that want to be in the trade industry and the manufacturing sector and the certificate sector, where in the US, if you have a certificate in data analytics or cybersecurity or manufacturing, you can go right into a job. So if you're a high school student right now in the US, you could get into a community college program to get your certificate in one of those areas and graduate from high school and walk into a great paying job. So there are jobs now in the space sector that are right out of high school, trade skill jobs. We also need obviously electricians and plumbers, because all these great companies that we see emerging, SpaceX and Blue Origin and Boeing, and as they're building new buildings, they need all those workers as well. They need food service, they need administrative, they need financial managers. And we also need the STEM professionals, the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So we still need all of them. Here's another area. We also need healthcare, because a huge area that comes from space technology is health benefits for us here on Earth. So we need healthcare industry leaders and pharmaceuticals. So as people think about what could my career path be, it's all career paths. And the other big thing is we really need entrepreneurs. There's space technology sitting at NASA in their technology transfer office. At ESA, the European Space Agency, they have a technology transfer office. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur. And you can go to either of those technology transfer offices, look at the patents they already have from space technology, look at applying for those patents and bringing those products to market and commercializing them. And when you become an entrepreneur and unlock that space technology, you're not only giving yourself a job, you're giving many other people a job. And that's where that workforce development and economic opportunity really come into play.
We'll talk about diversity for a minute, because as I mentioned before, in the space industry, when we were growing up, it was primarily male. It was male dominated, except for a handful of women who are rather famous. I mean, there've been movies about them and such, but I understand the space industry is far more diverse now than it has ever been. Can you comment on that?
Absolutely. I mean, diversity and inclusion is a huge part, not just the space industry, but you can see that globally, the initiatives that relate to diversity, inclusion, and ESG, environmental, sustainable growth, social, economic. So there's a lot of insight and input into this area. And when you allow all people to come to the table with their ideas, you get better solutions. So it's about really that inclusivity brings new ideas to solve some of the biggest challenges we're facing in the world today. We have many challenges. And space technology, those patents at NASA or ESA or elsewhere, could help solve many of those challenges. And again, we need everyone to come to the table to look at providing those solutions. So you can see not only men and women, young and old, different ethnicities, but also different regions of the world. There are more than 85 countries now participating in the space ecosystem. The MENA region, Africa, South America have huge potential, not just to be launch providers or build rockets or astronauts, but actually to open innovation hubs and unlock that innovation in healthcare, in pharmaceuticals and manufacturing and energy storage and energy solutions. So the opportunities are now open, not just for men and women or the US or large countries, but for all countries. I participated in an event last week, and they were highlighting the importance of Africa and the growing African content in technology and innovation in space. So you can just see that this permeates our planet. And at the end of the day, we're all in this together. We're on the same spaceship called planet Earth. So we all want to work together, and space is a great place where we can collaborate and work together to make the world a better place.
You have so many achievements and are recognized globally as an innovator, mentor, ambassador, and leader. I believe you were recently awarded the title of 2020 Diversity and Inclusion Officer and Role Model of the Year by Women Tech Network. And you are a United Nations mentor for its Space for Women program and a senator for the United States of America World Business Angels Investment Forum. You seem to be actually the epitome of success. But how do you define success? What achievement are you the most proud of?
For me, it's really about, is it about action and impact? What difference am I making in the world? Obviously, being in the military for so many years, serving my country and the greater good, because space technology benefits all of us. So it's really about, how am I giving back? How am I creating a better place for all of us, as well as how am I creating a place for the future generation and leaving the world a better place than I found it? That's something I learned in the Air Force. You transition every 2 or 3 years in the Air Force, and what you're taught is take that job, and when you leave it better than you found it. So that's my philosophy. How am I having an impact? So that's really how I measure success. And then what is my greatest achievement? And I'm grateful for Women Tech Network, and I was so honored and elated and surprised that they selected me as their Diversity and Inclusion Officer of the Year and Role Model for 2020. But I really highlight that it had to do with the Space Foundation and our launch of our Center for Innovation and Education, really about breaking down those barriers to show that there's opportunity for everyone to come into the space ecosystem, to find a place from high school graduate to PhD, multidisciplinary, from technical trade worker to rocket scientist to entrepreneur to artist There's a place for you in the space ecosystem. And so that's really my greatest accomplishment, because it wasn't just me. You know, Kim, from your time serving with the military, that it's about teamwork. And the Space Foundation is a great team. And together, we're working with organizations like you and O2K and the UAE Space Agency and Compass and many others to break down those barriers and allow more access into the space industry. So again, I'm very honored by the award, but it's really a team accomplishment across the Space Foundation and many wonderful organizations like O2K.
Thank you, Shelli. That's a real compliment coming from you. That really does mean a lot. Thank you.
The other thing I want to say is, Kim, it's been a pleasure joining you this morning. The Space Foundation and myself, we're so honored to be partners with you and Rob, your partner at O2K. And we look forward to growing our partnership with you in the MENA region over the next year. So thank you, and thank your distributor for this program so we can share the inspiration with the world. And I want to thank your sponsor as well for making this possible.
Thank you so very much for your insights. Shelli, you are a true pioneer for women and an inspiration to all generations with your tireless efforts in promoting the opportunity that space and the new space economy is. Your enthusiasm and success are an inspiration to us all. Thank you so much. Now, for more information, please visit www.spacefoundation.org. For our audience, you can find this video and all episodes on YouTube at Chief Inspiration Officer Kim Schofield, as well as LinkedIn at O2K Limited, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku TV, and Clubhouse. If you just want to listen in, Inspiration Tuesdays is available as a podcast on Spotify and Buzzsprout. Our next episode will feature His Excellency Marwan Al-Sakal, Executive Chairman, Sharjah Investment Authority, Sharuk, with part 1 airing April 6th. This is Kim Schofield. Thank you again for joining us. Stay safe, be well, and go forth and inspire.